Tonight on the Kmac Attack, professor, director, and performer, Dr. Riccardo Sepulveda. You guys like that intro, huh? Pretty good stuff, right?
How long did that take you?
Actually not that long. It took me the longest just to get the song into GarageBand. I had to buy it and then whatever, and then just find a generic record scratch, all the behind the scenes. But I just love that song. It's in the Punisher, this was back when Marvel movies, they wasn't a part of, the cinematic universe like movies are now. But it was with Thomas Jane, and that song is playing while he's just fighting this, huge Russian dude. And he's just, getting his ass kicked. And then...
Riccardo sang on that soundtrack? Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the plot of Rigoletto, though. Punisher is based off of it, right?
It very well could be, but every time I hear that, I'm like, man, that is such a great
Is it?
scene.
Are you making this up, or...? Okay.
It's Nick, come on.
I don't know.
I thought that was part of the original Punisher soundtrack.
That's where it came
That's
from.
not original scoring for Punisher.
No, they hired Verity for the Punisher. Actually, he came back.
It sounds right to me. But we are going to have Riccardo Sepulveda, the doctor, officially. When we knew him at Milliken, he was not a doctor yet, and he was on his way.
He got his medical license just in time.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I wonder how we're going to ask how he's doing with COVID as a doctor now. But he got on for a bit before, and we got to catch up for a little bit, so it'll be fun.
You
to
didn't
talk
save
to him.
it for the show. You always
Save it for the show.
I made it very clear to save everything he was telling us for the show. But we did have Daniel Roush on last Sunday, which was good to catch up with him up in Chicago. So check that out if you're gonna get a chance.
That one didn't get blocked this time, so you can rewatch that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did get the notification that said our petition for the one with Bravos went through. It was just the one where we were talking about Paul McCartney, which is so weird because it was the one with Bravos.
It was the pictures of the album. It didn't like that.
Yeah.
That was the weird part. Yeah, it wasn't even the music. Although no, we got hits on the music too, but it got blocked because of the albums.
Yeah.
Weird.
Did we get?
I told you it's a conspiracy. They don't want us to know that Paul McCartney's actually dead.
Yeah, that's
The shadow people, the cloud people, and George Soros. I don't know, man.
It's all Bill Gates.
It's all Bill Gates.
Yeah, wait. So the one with Bravos, 'cause I was thinking about that. I mean, we played a lot of Beatles songs. Did that one just get totally shut down?
Yeah, it got 5 flags. It got blocked in most countries.
Okay.
But
Well, I
just
think
the
on
sections with
Facebook.
audio, and then Facebook, that was YouTube that blocked it. And then Facebook's like, no, you can't have pictures of the albums. That doesn't make any
That's
sense.
way
Why would
too
we
far.
allow that? So
Because
they blocked
I
the entire video, and we had to appeal it.
Oh, okay. Because right. I think I've gone back and I can watch the one with Bravos on Facebook at least. But I don't know. I mean, Nick, you.
Now we're talking about the Beatles. We're gonna get blocked.
Exactly. Did you know
inevitable.
Paul McCartney? Man, our stream just goes dead. Is it streaming on Instagram? Because if I go to my page, it doesn't
Yeah,
show.
it is.
Okay.
I see it on mine.
Oh, sweet. Cool. I did stream live to Instagram on Saturday night. I was just playing the guitar for a while. I'm like, I'm just gonna go live and see what happens. And Kyle, you joined right away, which is funny. And then
I left.
yeah, save it for the show.
I was
Okay,
like,
bye.
I do this every show, or twice a week. It's fine.
Right. And then Hendos got on, Lucas Chatterton got on. So I just did that just for fun. But
Did you make a shout out to the show?
I didn't really say anything except like singing.
Oh,
No, I don't think
blew
many
it
people
there.
watched, but it was just something I wanted to try. But today is St. Patty's Day. Have you guys done anything to celebrate? Because I haven't barely thought about it.
I went to
Drinking bourbon.
Mariano's today, and I go up to like the cooled liquor like beer section, and they just have like a handwritten like piece of paper that says "Sorry, no Guinness," and I'm like, okay, and I just left. They're like, they knew exactly why I was there, so
Yeah.
That's funny. They just knew where people were coming
yeah,
for.
it's just a handwritten in pencil frowny face. I'm like, darn it, okay.
They lost all their business today just because they have that one
They
sign.
really
Or they
did,
got a
yeah.
lot of business.
True.
No, I went and I just all right.
Look at all.
I had a frozen pizza, a St. Patty's frozen pizza.
Classic.
That's how
Traditional
everyone
St.
celebrates.
Patty's.
Well,
Yeah.
it's green, white, and orange. You know, typical colors of a pizza.
For lunch, I had St. Patty's Panda Express.
Nice. I beat up a Protestant on my way to. Oh shoot, no. No, I didn't. No.
I drove the snakes out of Ireland.
Single-handedly.
I picked a potato out of the ground. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, what is like? What is? We're just making up bad excuses.
We're just like doing the most basic of Irish stuff.
I mean, what is the best way? I mean, what did we do at SAE during St. Pat? I mean, because who was the guy downstairs?
Well, he wasn't. He was. Well, I mean,
Patty
he was
Murphy.
Irish.
Patty
but,
Murphy.
Yeah, Patty Murphy is not St. Patrick.
Right.
Patty Murphy was a mobster. Irish.
Who followed the beliefs of St. Patrick.
Yeah. In driving the snakes out of Chicago.
Driving the snakes out of the mob.
Well, there are some fun facts about St. Patrick's Day. It was the first the parade was held in America. I feel like maybe I doubt that it was, but I feel like we just take credit for it because that's what we do.
No, it's an interesting holiday because it's both like it's just kind of all about the Irish identity. So it's them like rebelling against the British and then also them in America just trying to reclaim because there's a lot of anti-Irish sentiment in America. So it's just more of like a reclamation of their identity kind of holiday. So it like in America it's more about just being like wearing green and stuff, but in Ireland it kind of is more about the Catholicism, I believe.
Oh, I see. It's much more focused and intentional than like, oh, you're wearing green? All right, good for you. Like that's all we do, and then we get drunk. And other places like they actually care about it.
Like Ireland.
Yeah, like the place it's meant to, right. But I feel like we just take everything and we're just like, yeah, it's ours.
Well, what's wrong with partying about like, because I think people, at least the older we get like a little bit more positive impact on the Irish, even though it's just positive, like it's just partying. I don't necessarily see the negative aspects of it.
No, I mean, I'm just saying like we as Americans are always taking, these kinds of things for granted. Do you guys know or have an idea of when the first parade was held?
No, but I think you do.
1938.
Not even close.
Sticking with it.
1498.
A little closer. 1601. It says it was a Spanish colony, what is now St. Augustine, Florida. And then
Weird.
Homesick Irish soldiers marched in Boston in 1737, and in New York City on March 17th.
Oh, okay.
By Price's Right rules, I won.
Congratulations,
You
you
sure
get nothing. I've gotten nothing for you.
Hey.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't really care about it all that much, but I don't know if you guys did anything, or like Nick, if you like were really intent on buying Guinness and now.
I like Guinness. It's one of my favorite, but no.
It's really like it's a thick, like a dark lager, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't taste like
Isn't it?
anything.
It's like a stout. technically, isn't it?
I'll look it up. Don't worry. But yeah,
I feel like Guinness doesn't like taste like anything. It's almost like a cream ale, but like no taste.
the dark
Like, it's real
Irish
thick.
dry stout. It's a dark Irish dry stout. Ooh,
It tastes like olives to me. I don't like it.
Delicious.
It
don't
tastes
like-
like olives. It's gross.
Really? I'm the
Yeah.
only one who likes Guinness.
Oh, I like Guinness. I feel like it doesn't taste like anything.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. I've heard
It
that
doesn't
and like
taste like much. It's not like when you have any like other kind of beer where it's like
That's not extremely
a real
bitter, but
bitter.
I like it.
Yeah.
But do you like it more than Heineken, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not a big fan of Heineken. Just
That's
like I'm
funny.
not a big fan of Heinrich Schenker. But it's just a great pun.
The irony. Speaking of your Fortnite name, new season came out yesterday.
Oh my
Kyle,
God.
you have yet to play it.
that is
Wow.
accurate.
Garbage.
I have a week off from my class, and I'm enjoying it as much as I can.
The general
Staying
consensus.
off the computer.
Yeah, that's fair. The general consensus so far is not positive. Like Ben said, and I very, very well, is that upgrading is consistently getting so much more complicated. Because it's like, wait, well, okay, I have resources, but I don't use them. I have gold, but I can't upgrade. Like, I have to find the guys to get them, but I have animal bones.
Now I have to kill chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
I have to forge a new, I have two different options. I have to get car parts, which cars are pretty, prevalent, but they rarely show up. Yeah, I mean, when you make a new weapon, it's really cool because like there's a shockwave bow and you can just shoot it at the ground and then just like eat yourself. And it's basically like 30 different times because you can hold up to that many arrows. And I was playing earlier and like there's a boom bow where it shoots like mini grenades and I down like a whole team with that.
Ooh,
But
a boom bow.
yeah,
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a ditzy woman. Never mind.
Or a ditzy man.
Or a ditzy
A,
man.
a
Sorry.
himbo.
A himbo.
I'm
What the
lost.
fuck?
But I don't
It's
know.
okay,
I mean,
Kmac. We'll
it's,
tell you when you're older.
thanks. Yeah, someone explain to our audience.
Dude, Kmac, you're a total himbo.
Well, Kyle told me I was basically a middle-aged man trying to explain technology, so I'm
Yeah,
still,
he
I'm still
asked me
trying to
some-
find my identity.
He asked me today the program we used to stream to Instagram. He's like, "Is this safe?" Like,
Well,
oh my
it
God.
popped up and was like, "This is not verified by Mac OS, and there's nothing to regulate the
Yeah.
if it's malware." I'm like,
It's
"Well,
because
that's
it's not on the
reassuring."
App Store, and they want you to use the App Store so they get a cut.
Oh, okay. Well, they
That's
could have just
why.
said that.
Where's your transparency?
I feel like Apple is eventually going to get to that point where they're just like, just give us money, and then people will be like, sure.
Fine.
At
It's
least
the
you're
cool
honest.
thing to do.
Yeah. But no, I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't want to do this. And it wouldn't even let me install it. I had to either cancel it or just throw it in the trash.
Or go into the
then-
settings.
Well, again, that could be a little more transparent.
When the sports book app I use to like bet on sports, they don't allow it in the app store, so you have to just like download an app from your browser, which is really weird. So I definitely know what you mean. And then it's like you get all these warnings that are like, this is
Mhm.
not a real app. It is a little, I don't know, it's unnerving.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's just so much out there that, I mean, you hear all the time, getting hacked or people, getting into your information. And I mean, like, people.
I mean,
could destroy-
if you're clicking on pop-ups and stuff and downloading stuff, that's probably not the safest thing. But
I mean,
most
yeah, that's
third-party
fair.
software is fine. It's just
Yeah.
not like verified by Apple. So.
Right. That makes more sense if it's just like, hey, we want you to use our product. But I
Yeah.
mean, I've helped several Nigerian princes, so I feel fine about those.
What's your bank account? Is that Stimmy gone already?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys gotten
Yeah,
that?
but
by
it's,
the way?
it's, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
I got it. It's
spent
gone.
Yeah.
It's already gone.
It went right to a Trumpy bear. I mean, if you guys haven't read the reviews on that, it's
Yeah.
so funny.
We've
What
heard
else?
you. We've heard your.
I haven't.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've gotten mine, but new Fortnite season, plenty of V-Bucks to go around. So, no,
Trumpy
but
bear,
yet
what the fuck
I
is
told, I think I told Nick, but one of my classes at school, I showed them the Justice League trailer because that comes out tomorrow, which I'm really psyched for because it's what it was originally supposed to be. Zack Snyder was on the project. I think his daughter was killed in an accident, so he obviously had to leave. And Joss Whedon of the Avengers took over.
I didn't know it was tragic. I thought they just didn't like him.
No, it was bad. Yeah.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So Joss Whedon takes over. I think Warner Brothers just kind of wanted him to water it down, and he changed a lot about what Snyder had originally and
infamous mustache.
Right. Yeah. If you watch the Justice League that has come out, Henry Cavill has this, just like his face is just very odd looking, and it's because they've CGI'd it because he was filming another movie that had a mustache. And like they couldn't, of all the CGI things that we can do today, they can't make his face look like somewhat normal. So when you look at it, you're just like, that just does not look right. Like, ugh, like you cannot get over it.
I have to give props to Henry Cavill for just basically being like, yeah, I'm not gonna shave my mustache for this movie. They're like, all right, we're gonna spend a couple $1 million on that, rather than him shaving and putting a fake mustache for the other movie.
Yeah, they could get easily make that a cosmetic mustache versus like spend millions just to make it look not like a mustache. So this new so if you watch it, it's pretty god awful. But this new movie, or what it is supposed to be, is out tomorrow on HBO Max, and it's over 4 hours long. Like that's how much footage that was prepared. And I think it was supposed to be like a 3-part film, but I'm really excited because I don't know. I mean, there were parts of Justice League, there are parts of those DC movies that are enjoyable, and I just think it's going to be sweet. So like, I'm going to get home tomorrow and just like spend all night just like watching this movie. And it's okay. It's 8:30, like time for bed.
Dude, did you hear what happened? I think I told you, but I'm going to tell everyone.
Yeah.
About the Tom and Jerry happening on HBO. So this is what was happening. So on HBO Max, they haven't. When do they actually put out the Justice League?
It's tomorrow at some point.
Yeah. So the Snyder Cut comes out tomorrow, but on HBO Max they debuted Tom and Jerry, but a lot of people, when they clicked on Tom and Jerry, it started showing this R-rated like Justice League movie. So all these people got like a sneak preview of the Snyder Cut, all because they wanted to watch like a movie with their kid. So it's really funny.
And then you said that, I mean, Tom and Jerry is, 2 hours long. So at some point in the Justice League movie, like stopped right in the middle, it's just like ending. And that would just be the worst.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I guess you could just fast forward for the actual cut. But so that's tomorrow. That's, I mean, a green for St. Patty's Day, Green Lantern. Hopefully he's going to show up. But I'm pretty stoked about that. And Friday is Falcon and Winter Soldier, the second Marvel show of the Disney Plus series, which I don't know if you guys, I mean, I know Nick watched WandaVision, but that's going to be pretty sweet. I've seen really good things about it. But we're going to get started right now. We're going to let Dr. Ricardo Sepulveda in on our meeting. He is anxiously awaiting to talk to us, and as we are with him. Doctor, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Great.
Good.
It's good to see you again. It's been, I mean, probably since we graduated. I think all of us. I think Ben, did you have him too, as a professor?
No, I don't.
Okay,
believe,
I wasn't sure.
I don't believe so.
I know a lot of music, just general, students studying music took foreign language diction. That was the class, right?
We didn't really do a lot of foreign language diction and saxophone. But
were you in that class where I accidentally had a moment with the board?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. What happened with that?
Well, that was the first year I taught at Millikan, and you were in the first class of foreign language diction. And I am a little not traditionally quiet or graceful. And I was walking, and you guys were about to fall asleep on my face, or looking confused, or doing all these things that you guys did. So I was like trying to animate myself, and I kept looking at the board. And I was using a dry eraser thing, and suddenly I did it so nicely and closely to the board that my head hit the board. So that is one of my memories of Millikan ever. That was the same year I fell and ripped the inseams of my slacks.
I do remember that. I definitely remember that. It was great because we got to, share in this experience. We were all, naive freshmen, and you were, a brand
And I was
new
making
professor.
you all comfortable by being
Yeah.
weird and
Yeah.
not graceful.
It helped, especially because, I know for me, that class was one of the hardest classes I took because being able to pronounce all the different languages, understanding IPA, that still kind of goes over my head. And if you ask me about it today, it's not going to go well.
That's something you have to practice like any other alphabet. So start putting up some foreign language, maybe some Italian songs in your choir or something, or sing some Italian pop music. I don't know.
Is that what you do regularly?
Well, I teach, a bunch of people, and I speak obviously 2 languages every day, or at least I try. So I try my best to keep listening to music of all kinds and languages, especially languages that I'm weak at. For example, French.
Yeah, I remember. I think you mentioned that in class. That's probably one of the most difficult to learn, would you say?
It is. Too many variables. Yeah. Like German has a lot of rules, but once you learn them, they're there. Italian also. English, not a regular language. Spanish has a lot of standard rules, not many exceptions. But French is like somebody decided, hey, I'm going to make your life miserable by making all these exceptions. And the repertoire is too high, and
And you had the pleasure to get to teach it to us and do our best to learn, which you are still teaching, right? Yeah, you're still teaching now, and you were at Millikan for quite a few years, and then did you go right to Western Illinois University, or was there a hiatus of any kind?
No, I was at Millikan from 2010 through 2017, 7 years, and then I got hired at Western, and I was there for 3 years, and now I'm back home in Puerto Rico teaching at a college there.
That's awesome. And yeah, you were talking before us the show that you're transitioning and that you have the opportunity to be closer to family. And I just wanted to ask you, how did you get first involved in music? What was early life like for you? And was your family musically inclined? And how did that look for you?
Not at all. My family just loves music, like every Puerto Rican or every Latin person, or every person that has not much to do except working and living, working and living, working and living. Every Sunday they would put Puerto Rican folk or traditional music, boleros, salsa, a little bit of we call it trio music. Trio music is like a string ensemble with guitars, and it sounds like barbershop harmony, but of course in Spanish and with colonized music, because we were colonized by the Spanish. And it's funny that you mentioned that the first St. Pat's Day happened in a Spanish colony, because it's like odd in many ways, but maybe it explains why we drink a little bit more.
Whatever excuse we can have to drink a little
Whatever.
we'll probably take it as Americans. So what was your first what's like the most memorable thing of your childhood that you thought, I want to do that? Was it something
with music?
Yeah, was it something opera related, because that's something you've dedicated a lot of time to, or was it something, did you have a totally different path?
Oh yeah. My first musical experience, besides liking music, was actually through dancing. I used to dance Puerto Rican folk music. Plena, bomba, Guajira, those like Caribbean dancing forms. I was in a group. I had a waist. I didn't have a belly, and I danced a lot. And that caught my attention with the traditional folk Puerto Rican music. So I ended up being in 8th grade, and this Spanish class teacher, she decided that I looked extremely odd and I was too loud. So she decided to give me things to do. She encouraged me to write poetry. She encouraged me to be in plays. She encouraged me to sing. So I ended up singing Décimas and Nova Trova, which is a genre within folk Caribbean music because it exists outside of Puerto Rico. But it's similar to the sound that country music, old country music sound like the singer. Very wide, very bright, very very twangy. Twangy is a word. That's the first thing I sang. And then I ended up in choir in high school. And in choir, I had the opportunity to be in a national choir in Puerto Rico with 3 other choirs. I didn't read music back then, so everything I did was by ear. The first classical piece that I sang was a coronation anthem by Handel, by Handel. And that just changed my life because it was with the orchestra, and we were like 120 voices, and it was amazing. The color, the timbres, the anxiety of being on stage, that just changed my life. So I went to the Conservatory of Music after I learned to read music the last semester of high school, and rejected admission to study engineering, which is what I had planned to study, because my brother was an engineering student.
Okay.
And since then, I tried to study composition. That didn't work out because I didn't know anything. So I ended up switching to singing, and I stayed there.
That's awesome. I mean, so you wanted to be a dancer. That's what you kind of said. And then you were...
I never wanted to be a dancer. I danced. I had to.
He's just a natural dancer. He just is.
I just danced because, you know, my hometown, there's still nothing to do. So I wanted to burn some energy. I'm the middle child of 5 children. And my family is really loud, and I didn't have many outlets. And that opportunity came, so I ended up dancing. And I loved it. And since then, music came to my lap, and I continued. I wanted to study choral conducting in undergrad, but that wasn't a choice. So the closer thing was singing. And once I started singing, it opened up this world of opera and art song, because what I really love is art song. Opera I love because of the stage part, because I can become other people. Fantasize with being happier or more miserable, whichever opera you choose. Rigoletto, of course, is more miserable.
Oh, excuse me. So you wanted to get into the opera, and I've noticed you've been in a ton of performances. Is there one that you remember the most that was your favorite? And then do you have one that was just a complete flop? Have you had any that you just get off stage and you just think that was horrible, or maybe you got booed? I mean, is there anything? What's on the spectrum? What's on the spectrum for you?
I have one of my most memorable ever performances was not actually as a soloist. It was as a choralist. I was singing. I was still in undergrad. It was the last year of undergrad. I hated music at the end of my undergrad, because I had burned out everything that I had inside me, trying to achieve something that my teachers kept saying, you just have to do this, you just have to do this, you just have to do this. But it was never taught how to do it. So I ended up hating everything, because also I didn't know how to practice. Nobody sat me down and said, this is how you practice. This is how you structure a practice session. So I ended up hating things because of lack of information. In that last year, I ended up singing whatever I wanted. I did gigs of pop music again. I worked in a warehouse where I was alone in a dark room for like 9 hours. So I experimented with things, and I ended up singing in this symphonic choir chorus in a Casals festival, which is a huge thing in the Caribbean, especially in Puerto Rico. And we did Verdi's. You were talking about Verdi earlier. We did Verdi's Requiem, Misa da Requiem, and you know that has this brass things, and the choir part is huge, and the bass part has this amazing lines in the polyphony that just break your heart because it's operatic.
Yeah, I love that
is
one.
An opera with religious text.
Is that the one we did at Milliken?
I think he's talking about his first
that was my experience in
sure
in undergrad.
The first
Requiem, same piece though, right?
No, it was a different one. It's the one that goes like da 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 da.
Exacto.
Boom cha boom cha boom cha.
Yeah.
One.
Okay.
Say boom bum boom bum boom bum.
Yeah, Nick, can you do percussion? And Ricardo, you can sing. Ready? Go.
It's the loudest thing in the world.
So
that was my highlight.
So when you think back to that, you're just like, that's why I got into what I do. Like, that's the reason.
That's what revived my love for music. That's what told me that, and I did a few acting gigs during that year too, and I ended up studying with another teacher, and this person was very kind to me and kind of listened to my voice and what my voice needed, and just allow me to make the noises and sounds that I could make. So I ended up discovering the love for it again, and then I went to my master's. The flop experience was actually not at a performance. I've never had a performance where I said, well, I did, yeah. I lost my voice in my master's recital.
Oof. Oh.
I was singing, and just before the intermission, my voice gave up. I had been sick. My repertoire was ridiculous, was too large, too broad, too difficult. And I was a TA, and I had 2 other jobs at the same time. Plus, I just sang, and never actually sat down to study and learn what was happening and listen to my body. So after that last piece of the first half, my voice lost all the extension. I couldn't sing high and I couldn't sing low. And it was an onset of laryngitis. And I had no idea. So I ended up going out and I said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, with my broken accent, thank you for coming. I did not listen to my body. And right now I have no voice to finish this. So thank you for coming. There's some refreshments outside. Please go out and eat.
I hope you use that exact voice because that is so well projected that I would not believe it.
The message was that. The message was that I did say I did not listen to my body and I cannot continue.
How much further did you have to go?
I had the hardest part. I had some Rachmaninoff songs that were coming my way, like super high. Pianists like Kyle will understand. These were like clang, 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 and the voice did the same thing. And then I had this arias from it was one of those Mephistopheles, the Condemnation of Faust, the Damnation of Faust.
Oh.
I had 3 arias of that thing in the recital, so I could not finish.
So who chose this music for you? I mean, who thought? I mean, looking back on this, I mean, you just said it was ridiculously hard.
It was
you had no say.
I did, but you have to understand. There's a combination. You all understand this as music students in the past, and now as teachers, that I think most of you are. There is a period in a student's life where whenever you have a chance to perform, judgment and gets clouded. So even when there's a little voice and a demon or an angel, whatever you want to call it, that says, that is a little too over your head, bro. Save your ass. Pardon, is this allowed? Save
Oh,
your
yeah, go for it.
behind. It's not gonna do any good. You can wait until you actually learn how to sing well. No. In my head, my teacher suggested most of it, if not all of it. I suggested it at Rachmaninoff because I had just studied it in vocal literature. So I had been doing IPA in Russian. So I was very excited and I had already prepared them and I love the music of Rachmaninoff and the poetry is beautiful. And the pianist was really good at playing Rachmaninoff. So I did it, but I should not have done it. And somebody could have just come to me and say, hey, bro, let's sing something else.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting how you went about, basically stopping that performance because I feel like most people would just say, I may not feel the best, but I just got to finish. And then that's probably obviously not recommended because if you were to do that, you could probably, studying the voice for as long as you have, ruin it for the rest of your life.
I know that if I had continued, the laryngitis that cost me 3 months of not being able to sing because I was not able to fully recover after that for 3 months. I had to take steroids in all forms to deal with inflammation. And the mental trauma that it gave me, I didn't want to open my mouth to sing because I was afraid that I could not recover. It was my last teacher, the dude that had me singing 1 page of music for 3 months. After that told me, the body does this. When your body needs a break to recalibrate, to heal, it will force you to get sick, to stop. That's why people get fatigued after, being working for too long, or you don't sleep and you get fatigued and sick. The same thing. My body just wanted to make me stop.
So when you say my body can't do this anymore, thank you for coming, are you waiting? Are you planning to finish what you did, or is it just over?
No, I didn't want to keep going because I knew that if I kept going, my voice was going to be affected even further. And I have read enough and heard and known people whose voice were badly damaged. You can get a vocal hemorrhage where a blood vessel pops out with 1 scream.
Ugh.
In a basketball game or a baseball game where you go, ah! One of those things can assert so much pressure in the vocal folds, which are the size of the circumference of your thumbnail. That's the circumference of your vocal folds. They're not large. They're very delicate. So with 1 scream, you can get a hemorrhage. So all that stuff, I knew some of it. So I had to stop. And I said, well, what could happen? That I fail and I have to repeat the recital? I'll do it. I don't care. But it was my responsibility because I had not heard until that point my own nature telling me to stop. So I did it at that point because I could.
Right. And I think, and that's what I really enjoyed, not only about some stuff you mentioned with foreign language diction and even in vocal pedagogy that you taught, and was one of my favorite classes because you kind of just said, this is how the voice works, go and do it. And we got to actually work with students. And it was also one of the more intimidating classes because when you would walk in and I would be teaching and I'm like, God, I hope I'm doing this right. And then you start teaching me like, okay, show them this. And it was a lot, but it really, forced me into that position. And the science behind the voice is what really continued to spark my interest. Are you still studying? I know your doctoral program was a lot about pedagogy, correct?
Yes.
So
it was about more science and vocal health, actually, and habilitation. the science of habilitating the voice to work or to reroute it into rehabilitation. I'm not in any way a clinician. I don't have a speech pathologist or ear, nose, and throat license. I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor, so don't ask me about COVID.
Oh shoot, that's all my interview.
I mean, I have some thoughts, and I have read enough, and I kept, about protocols and things about the voice because it's important.
How many people, how many other teachers or even maybe medical doctors with the voice do you come across and you're just like, that is totally wrong? Like, I know that that's not how it works. That's not how you should rehabilitate. Does that often bother you, or are people generally on the same page?
Teachers of voice these days, because of the access, the very easy access of data, of trustworthy data, especially certain universities and clinics around the country and in Europe as well, that specialize specifically on the voice, besides the organizations like the National Teachers Association of Singing and the Voice Foundation, which are led by voice teachers, but also physicians and acousticians and pianists and arrangers. And there's a lot of this wave of multidisciplinary approach for singing. So now you have a little bit more of a teamwork trying to inform the field. You still get the teacher that perhaps was taught, because all of this. You teach at first what you have been taught, and unless you retrain yourself or go and look for answers in some other places and are willing to do that, then you will perpetuate the same issues or the same good things, because there is something to be said about oral tradition and traditional pedagogy. They did it for a lot of time without necessarily knowing the science behind it.
Yeah.
Now, in my circles, I still find a couple of people that have just this phrase of like, sing from the diaphragm, sing from the diaphragm, sing. That phrase drives me nuts, because it's like, you cannot even control directly your diaphragm. You can that's like saying control your heart. Imagine if you have to remember to move your diaphragm to breathe. You will die. So these kind of things, these myths,
misconceptions,
some confusion sometimes. But I can tell you, the people that I respect the most are the people that said, I've never thought about that before. Let me go and find the answer. My last teacher, the dude that asked me to sing for 3 months, the same page, the same exercises until I got it right. He, a Metropolitan Opera singer, told me once something about breathing, and he said, I've never had to think about that. Let me go find out some information and come back to you. If a person like that can say that, any of us can do that. Come on.
Right. Yeah, even someone of that stature still is teachable.
Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
I know everything there is about the body and music. I'm 26.
But you get that. You know that.
I'm saying it right now. You're getting it. No, I'm just kidding.
Nick firmly believes that, and he's admitting it on the air right now with you.
In record forever.
Exactly. We're right. If you're joining us or you've been listening, we're talking to Dr. Ricardo Sepulveda, currently the assistant professor at Western Illinois University. I actually have been there for like a kind of a church camp summer thing. And I had a few friends go there. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that he's there now. But you're very busy. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and especially sharing that you are going to be on the show, because I've made a little picture and kind of spread the word, and, I get a decent amount. And then I see that you shared it and it's like in the hundreds. And it's like, okay, you can be our spokesperson from now on, because so many more people are going to see what he's up to and get connected that way. So
I
thank you
get
for
connected
sharing
to you
that.
guys too. I mean, when I watched a couple of episodes, a little bit of a couple of your episodes, it's funny, and it's also kind of cool because it's a good use, in my opinion. Maybe I'm sounding like an old fart, but it's a good use of your training and your experience and your friendship to just open up the mics, connect, talk about shit that you like, shit that you don't like. Pardon my language for the people that are not.
No, let it
Okay,
rip.
that.
It's
Let it rip.
It's really only me. So.
it's just Kmac.
But it's also nice to catch up with you guys. I remember all of you from except I remember that Ben had hair.
I did have hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
And-
changes.
Yeah. A lot has changed.
And when I was
Yeah. Yeah, the picture that I used to
Oh, yeah.
promote you was
that's my
from
hair. That's my
Milliken and-
fro.
Yeah, to keep it going.
Oh,
I'm-
it will.
No, that's great.
You will
It's
keep
good.
going. I decided that if I'm going to go bald, I will go bald when it falls off.
just let it happen. So between your time at Milliken University and as your time at Western, you can be totally honest. Which have you enjoyed more, and who have you enjoyed working with more? And are there any names that people should be aware of? This is your chance to really open up.
I'm glad that you're asking me who I have enjoyed more, because that I will answer really well. I can tell you that because of the nature of my work at Milliken, I cherish my time at Milliken more than any other place I've worked in my life. Not because of the administration, I can say that very, very loudly. I have my reserves, and since I don't work there,
Sure.
I can say it. But because of the mentorship I got there, I got mentored 101, daily advice, observations by Dr. Hattie Gibbons. She was super intimidating for many, including me, but she was the first person that, even with my broken, English back there, because that was the second year in 2010 that I was teaching almost full time in English. Before that, I had taught in English, but as a TA, as a teaching assistant at the University of Illinois. She got me under her wing, and she shared everything she knew. She answered every question I had. She listened to every complaint I had, even when it was a bitchy complaint, and she said, "You just have to learn how to blah, 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 blah." She was the first person that told me, "Ricardo, not everything that is in your head has to be said."
That's a lesson we need to learn on this show, I think.
Whoa. She used to grab my hand and squeeze it in meetings.
Mm.
Sometimes to keep me from putting my head in my ass.
Because of how things were going administratively, or where?
Yes, things that I disagreed at. When you are surrounded, and this is a problem with higher education, period. When you are surrounded with people that don't look like you or sound like you or are from the same place as you are, or in other words, when you're the minority in something, sometimes you feel like you have only two choices: or you shut up, suck it up, and keep walking to keep, the peace, or to not make waves, like people say, or you speak up and take the chance to be labeled as the difficult person. And she taught me that it was okay to speak, but you have to know when and how.
Mm.
But always speak up. That she
Yeah.
never censored me. She never tried to do anything like that. So in general, because of the classes that I taught to, classes that I've never taught before, that I had to rework or adapt or to teach. Another person also that got me under his wing and taught me everything he knew about directing opera, about producing opera was Terry Stone. Terry Stone is one of the best friends I've ever had in academia because he, unlike Hattie, he would tell me, dude, the fuck is wrong with you? You cannot do that. This is, you're gonna get fired tomorrow. Things like that, and he would always go, above and beyond to help.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's great to hear because I think as students looking up at our professors, you know everything. You've made it to the level you are. You're teaching us at a collegiate level. What could you possibly have to learn? I mean, but to know that behind the scenes, there are those discrepancies and those times when, you disagree with someone in the same field or you want to speak up, that you're just kind of with us along the way. And I'm sure, that first year at Millikan was a lot to handle for you. And I'm sure you got, the hand squeeze and the all the time.
And the people that got me to Millikan, I don't know if any of you knew them when they were there, because they left shortly after I started, were Dr. Matthew Lees and Dr. Daniel Carberg. They were, so you had left already?
Yeah.
I studied with Matt in grad school. He was in the choir conducting a program at the University of Illinois. So I ended up singing with him and under him in ensembles as a TA in choir. And then I met his partner, Daniel Carberg. And they were the ones who introduced me to Hattie and suggested me for this position when it opened up, this adjunct position. So I ended up there because of them. They were the first people that kind of taught me to teach. By watching them teach and perform and direct, I learned so much. And up to this day, I cherish them as brothers. I brought them to Western my last year to do a workshop on Baroque performance practice because we were doing Venus and Adonis before the pandemic shut us down. But
do you still keep pretty regularly in touch with those at Millikan?
I keep in touch with Cindy Oak, whose teaching style and work ethic and whip that she took out every now and then, I still model. Her organization skills are amazing. I keep in touch with Ann Borders, whose spark and grace I always appreciate it. She used to text me, even when I left Millikan, she used to text me to see how I was doing, and I also learned a bunch about how to be a crossover teacher, how to teach outside of the traditional lyrical way of singing into the musical theater area and commercial repertoire, and I learned a bunch of that watching her work too.
Okay, that's great to hear. I'm sure it's, learning from them from all that time and knowing that they've got your back now is reassuring, and especially during the pandemic. And I think what you mentioned earlier with us is that, we do this little show and we've kept in touch with the microphone. And without the pandemic, I don't think we would be doing this just because it's forced us to find other ways to stay connected. Have you found that similar in your own life where now that when things shut down about a year ago, basically around this time, that you found ways to stay in touch with friends that you didn't think you'd find?
Yeah, I've done a couple of. I've watched a bunch of things, a bunch of these little projects like what you have now. I've watched Beth Creighton hosting this amazing series through Millikan as well for SOTA for the fine arts thing. How do you call it? College. And I also, talking about somebody like Beth, I've learned about the about possibilities from Beth. She used to host for 10 years this fundraising event for pancreatus. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly.
Pancreatic cancer.
Pancreatic cancer awareness, which I believe was the condition that her mother, Beth's mother, died of. And I used to go there and watch some of you guys, including Tim Gorski. Remember Tim?
Oh yeah.
And Matt Hall and all these guys
Yeah.
perform with her. And I saw how she adapted, and I saw how she developed these kind of things. She became one of my best colleagues and friends, and then accompanist, and then mentor too. Beth is this low-key person that just makes magic happen under the rug and keeps things glued together, especially when she's involved in ensembles like opera and choir. So watching her and watching you guys, I have another former student that has now opened Fridays and sings and goes live like you did the other day, just for fun. And I also had a couple of events where my class from high school, which now is 21 years since we graduated high school, we got together because we couldn't celebrate the 20th anniversary, which was last year. So like 30-ish something of us got together. It was June after the pandemic forced us in. I've done that with choir people from high school, and we worked out some arrangements of things that we sang back then and put them up on YouTube. It's been nice because we developed some skills that we didn't have before, perhaps you can say. You get to see other people and use social media to actually connect because you don't have a choice. So I think this has redefined the role of social media. When you have the privilege of having it workable. In Puerto Rico, like today, I'm teaching from Illinois now because I'm here dealing with the rest of my moving. I had in one class, I had like 7 students disappear from the screen. Why? Because in Puerto Rico, the infrastructure, the electricity, the access to internet equally depends on where you live and how much money you have in your pocket. And that is something that here, when people lose power for a day, it reminds me, and I say here in the States, continental States, it reminds me when my sister had 11 months without water or power after the last hurricane. Because we take for granted all these things. This thing that we're doing,
Oh yeah.
we take it for granted. And I think you guys are doing something fun. You're connecting.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's really good to hear that you have found those positives, because it's really hard to do when everyone's life gets shut down in a way, and forcing us, like you said, to actually connect socially rather than just find something we hate and then comment on it. And then, we're actually using
beach.
Right.
We know that life sucks. You don't have to post about it.
Yeah, which is, it hasn't gone away, but at least we're sort of finding, more positives about it. And we did get a question from Benny Franks. I don't know if that's someone that you know, but he wanted to ask how that transition from Western Illinois to Puerto Rico was going. And you did start to talk about the infrastructure. Does that concern you with what your future plans are? And where do you see yourself when you get there?
I must confess that it has been a dream of mine to go back to Puerto Rico since I moved to the States for grad school in 2006. When you were like what, 5?
Like 6th grade, but 12.
Give or take.
12.
Yeah.
Twice as old.
I moved here in 2006 for grad school. I took a gap year between undergrad and my master's because I hated music. But then that year that I was free, I sang what I wanted. I studied with what I wanted, and I did what I wanted. So I regained a little bit of perspective. The recession in Puerto Rico had started that year. In the States, started around 2008. In Puerto Rico, started 2 years before. Puerto Rico has never recovered. In fact, it's defaulted, and the credit is on the floor, and being a colony of the States doesn't help because there's too many rules that we cannot control. You cannot even vote for the president in Puerto Rico. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my father served in Vietnam, and you cannot even vote for the person that was your commander-in-chief.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's the reality. So I moved here, and since the moment I finished my master's, I said, I'm going to finish in 2 years, going back to Puerto Rico. But the recession has started. I didn't see myself going back. Gigs weren't here and there. So I decided to stay and study with this teacher that got me singing the same thing for 3 months, and I learned everything I know from that guy.
Could you have gone to grad school in Puerto Rico, or was it a necessity to come to the United States?
When I came to the States in 2006, there was, I think, a master's program in music in the works. I don't even remember if it was already accredited at the conservatory where I studied. That was the only place where a graduate degree in music was available. But I don't think it was even approved yet. When I came to the States, they gave me a fellowship. So I actually had my tuition paid for that year. And then I got in debt because of greediness and the fact that I was debt free. So I said, yeah! Woo! Don't do that. Do that. So I tried to go back, and I never found a job, especially after teaching at Millikan for 7 years and then started a doctorate and then at Western. I had never found a job comparable where I could, earn similarly and not go in more debt. So this opportunity came this summer, and even though it is a primarily choir position, I'm conducting choirs, guys. Think about that. And I'm taking classes while I conduct because I have to. So I took the position either way. But the pandemic, moving
Say
back
no more.
home in a pandemic has made it all worse. And I was expecting to teach at least in a hybrid format. That has not happened, and I don't think it will happen anytime soon.
So you've been completely virtual?
Completely virtual. The only event that we did in person was a university founders event that happens in February. They decided to do a televised event in a pandemic. So I am new, so I had to, of course, say yes. So I did, and I was very nervous because I said, this can be a super spreaded event, but I did what I could, and they all sang with masks at all times, even though they wanted us not to. But I put my foot down with that one. And we ended up recording this event for TV, and it broadcast actually this last weekend. Once it goes into YouTube, I'll post some of it. It was very nice because finally I got to conduct the choir in person and hear their sound, and they were all spread with distance, etc. But it was a beautiful, beautiful, rich, vibrant sound, and there's nothing as amazing as teaching my own people, teaching in my language. Even though I now know that I have all this Anglicism shit going on, there's things that I learned in the States that I never learned in Puerto Rico, like vocal pedagogy, voice science, vocal health, all those stuff, musical theater, all those things. I learned them all in English. So imagine
Translating back.
anything that you learn as a child trying to explain it in another language. So when I'm talking about like body function and physiology and anatomy, and it only comes out in English. So now I have to retrain myself in that vocabulary to make sense.
Right. That's
Really
gotta.
teach voice in English.
It's just weird. The good thing is like my students. I don't know if it's because they have cable or they watch YouTube or I don't know because they speak in more Spanglish than I do. So
I was wondering, yeah.
when I speak in English, even if it's like short sentences, they have no problem. Most of them, they have no problems understanding at all.
Yeah. I think that's what I really enjoyed about having you as a teacher personally is that obviously, you come from a different background. You're having these struggles with articulating certain words, which made it humorous, but it just made it relatable because we were also like, what is going on with this class? Oh, he's kind of struggling too. Okay. Like, this is awesome. And knowing that you were teaching us, but you were also learning. I mean, that just made it a lot more enjoyable for me as a student. And I think, Kyle, you can speak on that as well. But I just think when you mentioned earlier that people look at you differently and you kind of have to decide if you're going to shut up or stand up, that I think as someone that comes from your background that has to go through all of these barriers that we growing up here with our language, with our culture that we take for granted, we don't even have to think about. So to be able to learn from you, I think really should be something we should look forward to rather than, oh, you're a little different, we shouldn't listen to you. So hopefully you didn't have too many negative experiences with that with some administrative things that you had mentioned earlier. But I think
I
it's
also
great.
had some experiences with students too.
Really?
But I can tell you, oh yeah, in my evaluations,
Oh.
this was at Millikan. I had a student that mentioned, and I knew who it was because it was so obvious. Mentioned something about Professor blah 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 has no business teaching this because that's not even the language he speaks. And I just laughed because it's like,
Bitch,
bro,
right here.
Yeah.
the
Speaking
problem
it right now.
Yeah.
You can tell who it was. Don't mention names, please. But you mentioned that, and I'm glad to hear that you, as a music education person, thinks that way. Because it's a choice. It's a choice that the person that raised you had to make. What kind of environment and what kind of world they wanted to show you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a choice that you as an adult can still change, right? Or foster. You have to decide and stick to your guns if you want to embrace diversity and see the beauty or look for the beauty in things that you don't know before you shut them down. My mother, she doesn't dare to try anything that doesn't look Puerto Rican in a plate. And that is a choice, but it's the same choice as, okay, so you're black or you're brown, or you, in the case of a brown person for a white, you're transparent. You're Casper. I don't know what you're up to. It's a choice.
Yeah.
To make, and we have to remake that choice every time it happens because we have innate issues with the unknown. Our brain sees and perceives the unknown as a threat. That's just the nature of the brain. Sees unknown and goes bing, bing, bing. That's why anxiety goes. That's why you sweat. But it becomes a social issue when you allow that to be the norm and become a consciously racist person.
Right. I think you're totally right. I've been asked that before is, that sort of is racism, is that learned, or is it inherent? And I think you really nailed it. It is just not really being aware of everything at all times. So those unknowns are scary, but we can consciously choose to understand and fix that. And a lot of people don't. Do you think when you go back to Puerto Rico and you're, there for the long haul, that you're going to take a lot of the Americanisms that you've kind of gained over these years and try to readapt them? Or are you going to say, this is kind of what I've learned, and other people now that haven't maybe seen or heard me for a long time just kind of have to deal with maybe a change?
If by Americanisms you mean the way of doing things, or the
yeah, or even
maybe
even how you speak. I'm
language?
Sure. Yeah.
I've come to, this is something that I've just had to research and continue to learn. I love languages, and I took a speech science course when I was doing my doctorate, and so I learned a little bit of linguistics, and I understand that language as we perceive it is a changing thing. It doesn't rest, it will never rest, and it will never become the same unless you stay in a tiny bubble, not in connection, connected to the world.
Not talking about the French.
Exactly. Sure. I mean,
it all comes full circle.
That's your thing. So it took me a second. I was very bothered, very bugged, and very let down on myself when I started speaking in class in Puerto Rico that first month. And some of my classes, I was talking to a camera with no faces.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to myself saying all these Anglicisms, and it took me and a conversation with another colleague where she reminded me that is the language that I've spoken mostly, especially in the Midwest, for 14 years. So it's not like I went, to Chicago one summer and then I came back and say, hey, bro. No, it is the language that I spoke mostly. The only time I spoke Spanish when I lived in those 14 years here was with other Puerto Ricans, other Latino people, which here at Western I encounter less because of the demographics of the university. But at the University of Illinois, I found enough people to speak Spanish too. But even me, as the roommate of another Puerto Rican, when I started teaching in English, we decided to speak English to each other alone, because that would improve both our English. My ex-roommate, who's Puerto Rican, and mine. And his English was a little worse than mine, so it was nice because we would just coach each other. So now, to answer your question in a short way, I cannot be brief in writing or speaking.
That's what we're looking for, honestly.
Thank you for your patience. That has always been a complaint of everybody. But I accepted that too. I had accepted that this is my nature at this moment. This is me. I came to the States when I was 23. I'm almost 40 now. 24, I think. So it's a lot of years. So I will not try to just deny. I keep looking at literature and trying to reacquaint myself with my language, which I love. I love the language Spanish. I always loved speaking it. I always love writing it. I love the diacritical marks. I love the 2 exclamation points instead of 1.
Oh, it's so good. That's best quality in my opinion.
I love that because it establishes a tone from the beginning of the sentence, not just the end.
After you said the word, now inflect. Oh, shoot.
But it's worse in German. In German, you keep talking and you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the verb until the end. So it could be worse. It could be worse. But I love my language, and because we have this, colonial relationship with the States, it is part of these treasure things that we as a country, I want to say, because I consider Puerto Rico a country. It's not a state, so I don't know how to say it. The island. We, as the island, we have these things that we cling on to. Our literature, it's beautiful. Our music is beautiful. The language is beautiful. We speak a dialect. We don't speak the Castilian Spanish. We drop all the letters that we can to speak faster. We aspirate our S's.
Do you guys have the lisp like the Spanish?
No,
Okay.
no. Instead, we aspirate the S. So imagine the word pasta.
Okay.
Pasta, we say pasta.
Oh, okay.
Pasta. We aspirate it.
You eliminate it essentially. Like it's not even. Is that kind of what it is?
It's aspirated. It's aspirated. Aspirated. There's a little
Oh, I
H
see.
there.
Okay.
Okay.
I looked it up. Commonwealth is the most common.
Yeah,
Commonwealth.
we just hate that word, bro.
Okay.
Hate that word. Yeah.
I
And
was
in
just trying
Spanish,
to-
it's a
trying to
whole
find an
phrase.
answer.
In Spanish, is Estado Libre Asociado.
Uh-huh.
So it's a
Mm.
mouthful of a phrase to say, we have no autonomy.
Well, I'm really excited to see where you go and to see what you do there. And I'm sure you're really excited to get back home. I know you mentioned that. And I assume, you're going to be there for the rest of your life. Are you ever going to come back, or are you going to stay there for forever?
My plan is to finish what I started. Which is something that I've struggled with a lot, and I think your generation can relate to this. Sometimes we are so afraid of failure that we drop projects. We start something and we kind of let it go to the side and not finish it. Or we have a couple of few rough patches here and there in an experience, and then we try to change it thinking that we don't fit there. I've had a little bit of this going back to Puerto Rico, because even though I'm surrounded by my people, by my climate, as shitty as it can be when hurricanes come and now earthquakes, I'm also surrounded by an opportunity to create something different, and I'm learning a lot about conducting that I've always liked. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to conduct choirs when I was an undergrad, but I never had the chance. So I ended up singing and singing and singing and singing, which I'm now glad, because it has helped me take out sound of the choir. But of course, I have my shortcomings and my things that I have to catch up. So I'm trying to catch up with that and learning and taking lessons, conducting lessons as I go. So I hope to be part of the change and bring what I've learned, which is always what I wanted, what I learned here, to the people that look, sound, and have the same background as me. I have students very similarly like me in my own classroom, where their parents are like disabled war veterans that serve in the army, with a wife that is the tutor of the disabled person, so they cannot have a regular job. So they come from very low income parts of the island. Some of them have the privilege of being a little more accommodated. But it's very nice to see these kids that just remind me of me. And some of them, look like me. Some look like you guys, because we have white Puerto Ricans, we have brown Puerto Ricans, we have black Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, that's so encouraging. And I think it's great that. What's up?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go for it.
Did you see the question?
Oh yeah,
Kmac?
I did.
Oh,
I
wait.
don't want to go on.
Are there any Puerto Rican myths or stories that you think? Oh,
Go
God.
on.
I don't know if that's a question we have time to answer now. I'm sure if this
It is
is
a question, and the guy that's my partner, the one writing. He's watching
Oh,
you
okay.
guys, and he's in the living room right now. So he promised he would not make any weird questions. He said that he was going to ask us very like shitty, delicate things. I'm glad he has not asked. Yeah, there are good myths to make opera. We have our indigenous past, our native Indian, Caribbean Indians in Puerto Rico. I have a tattoo here that I cannot show you because I would have to show you my boob, my mad boob. But it's right here.
It's too obscene for Kyle.
It's the son of my ancestors, my indigenous ancestors, because we have African ancestors and Spaniards. So there's a bunch of myths and legends and some other things that people can write operas about. So Mac, you already know that, but thank you for bringing this up.
Great questions, and we appreciate the feedback. We've gotten a couple more feedback on some other posts. Andres Roberto, if you remember him, he says,
Oh, yes.
Says Ricardo in big bold letters. So shout out to him. And
he's also Puerto Rican in his heritage.
Mm-hmm. And Mac Price, he says there's no one you've met working at WIU who changed your life for the better and who wouldn't trade for the whole world. So I don't know.
That is my partner, and he wants me to say him. I meant him.
I think you got the plug you deserved.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I think what you're doing is really encouraging that you've taken this step to come to the Americas or to the States rather, to learn what you
Thank
have,
you for that.
to take it back, and
I think we all do that on accident sometimes.
Yeah.
This is not your fault, but I'm glad that you even corrected yourself speaking.
Thank you. I'll do that very often. Don't worry. But I just appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about it. And I know a lot of people, I think, are also really excited to hear from you and just to get to know some more about you. And before you go, though, because you're on the Kmac Attack,
Are you going to play something? I was looking forward to this.
We do love to play games, so you've come to the right place.
Which one are we doing?
We're just doing general trivia. But you can play the fun music. So we're going to get to know how much Dr. Ricardo Sepulveda, joining us from Macomb, Illinois, how much he knows about opera, because he studied that for a long time and is an excellent singer. If you can go to his website and check out more about him, r-sepulveda.com. A very nice picture straight from Millikan University. You can find it there. So let's get started. Let's see what he knows. So Kyle, hit that music. And Nick, we're going to kick you out because we're going to see how well you compete. So we're going to get Nick's opinion here in just a second. But you have
I'm so glad it's not me this time.
I considered it, but I let you off the hook. So we'll see. We'll see how well you do. I'm going to put 30. We're going to see how long it takes you. There's 7 questions. All of them are multiple choice. If you feel you need to pass, feel free to do so. And we'll get started with the first question. Who holds the world record for the longest applause? Placido Domingo, and I will probably mispronounce several of these names. Is it Luciano Pavarotti? Did I learn correctly?
You said it right.
Oh, thank goodness. Or Renee Fleming. Domingo, Pavarotti, or Fleming? Who has the longest applause, the world record?
I would say Pavarotti.
Okay. If you want to cheer for 2 or more singers after an opera, you yell bravi. What do you yell if the group consists of only women? Brave, bravas, or braver?
Brave.
When was the first opera written that is still regularly performed? 1565, 1607, or 1711?
Say the dates again.
1565, 1607, or 1711.
1607, if we're talking about Monteverdi.
Okay, which composer only wrote one opera? Bizet, Berlioz, or Beethoven?
Beethoven.
If you whistle during an opera in Europe, what might you be doing? Cheering, booing, or requesting a curtain call?
I am not sure, but I think it's booing.
How long did it take Gioacchino Rossini to write The Barber of Seville? 2 weeks, 2 months, or more than 2 years?
Joaquino. Say the times again.
2 weeks, 2 months, or more than 2 years.
2 months.
And finally, what is Darius Milhaud's opera, The Deliverance of Theseus, known for? There is no instrumentation, it's considered the most difficult opera, or it's the shortest opera ever written.
I have no idea, but I think it's the shortest.
Okay, and that'll do it.
Oh damn! If I
Okay.
fail this, I'm done. Forever.
Overall, well, let's see. First question, who holds the world record for the longest applause? It was Placido Domingo in 1991.
What?
I believe it lasted for about 80 minutes.
That's so long.
Which is a ridiculously long. I think that was,
8-0?
yeah, I think that was a standing ovation. It lasted for 80 minutes, so he had to stand up there and just wait.
Okay.
You didn't even do an encore, or
I'm not sure.
During
that sounds not right.
Well, we just spoke
Wouldn't be
earlier.
the
The
first
internet
time.
is completely factual.
the first time
if-
Kmac pulled from
Yeah. If you
a sketchy source.
want to cheer for a group that only consists of women, you say brave, which you said. The first opera was written in 1607, which was Monteverdi's L'Orfeo. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Beethoven was the only composer to write one opera, which was Fidelio.
Yes.
All right. Okay. If you whistle during an opera, you will be booing, which you got correct. And Gioacchino Rossini wrote The Barber of Seville in only 2 weeks.
Oh,
You
I
said
didn't know that part.
2 months. And finally, the shortest opera ever written is The Deliverance of Theseus, which you did get, even though you didn't know it. So good guess on that one.
Well, opera is not opera unless it has orchestra, according to the definition of the genre. And the other choice that you gave me was not plausible, so I just guessed that one.
Okay. Well, why is it the most difficult? Is that just too subjective?
Definitely not most difficult by a French guy. Not it.
Okay. I don't know. But you got it right anyways, which is the important part. So I think you got 5 out of 7, which is not too bad. Nick is going to have a tough time with this. He's been a popular contestant on these shows. Has done pretty well, but we're going to see how well he does
Oh
again.
gosh, this is the first time. Yeah, no, this is the first time I've legitimate. Oh, sorry, finish his name.
No, a medical doctor.
Yeah, medical. Oh my gosh, this is the first time I've legitimately been nervous because I'm always worse at the subject than I believe I am.
Oh, come on, Nick. You have the fame of being good at these things.
I know.
Right.
I'm still putting up 1,000 V-Bucks.
Yes, which is a popular currency of video game that we play. So if you ever join us, well, you get to use it.
I don't even know what that is, but my partner should know. He plays video
Okay,
games for you.
perfect. You can give it to him after all the shout outs and everything.
Oh, yes,
All right, Nick, we're going to get started. You got 7 questions, all multiple choice. Are you ready?
I guess so.
All right, first question. Who holds the world record for the longest applause? Placido Domingo, Luciano Pavarotti, or Renee Fleming?
I'll go with Pavarotti.
If you want to cheer for 2 or more singers after an opera, you yell bravi. What do you yell if the group consists of only women? Brave, bravas, braver.
Oh gosh, I don't know Italian. I'm gonna go with the C.
Braver.
Yeah.
When was the first opera written that is still regularly performed? 1565, 1607, or 1711?
I believe it's Lofero by Monteverdi, so I'm gonna go with A, 1500s.
Okay. Which composer only wrote one opera? Bizet, Berlioz, or
Beethoven.
Beethoven?
Yeah.
Okay. If you whistle during an opera in Europe, what might you be doing? Cheering, booing, or requesting a curtain call?
I'm gonna say booing.
How long did it take Giacchino, I'm never going to get that right, Rossini to write
Giacomo?
I think. I still won't get it. How long did it take him to write The Barber of Seville? 2 weeks, 2 months, or more than 2 years?
I'm going to go with 2 months. Would have been 2 weeks, but he had a lot more to eat, and he decided to take a break.
What is Darius Milhaud's opera The Deliverance of Theseus known for? There's no instrumentation, it's considered the most difficult opera, or it's the shortest opera ever written.
The timing of that
We were so close.
It was very tense.
Did you hear those?
Yes, I did. I'm going with A.
There's no instrumentation?
Yeah.
Okay, after your final answers, unfortunately for you, Nick, you are short 1,000 V-Bucks after Dr. Sepulveda did come out on top. With 5 correct, you both said Pavarotti. It was Domingo who got the longest applause.
Really?
It is Brave for a group of women. You said the composer and the opera correctly, but you didn't get the year right. It was 1607.
Darn it.
So... super
But you
close.
got the opera right.
Yeah, so I might give you half credit. That was good. Which composer only wrote one? You both said Beethoven, and you also said booing is in Europe if you whistle. You both went with 2 months for Rossini's Barber of Seville. It was actually 2 weeks. So you were kind of on the right track. Yeah, he did power through the eating, as you said.
El Canto writing, you know.
Now, if you knew opera as well as Dr. Sepulveda, you would know that opera generally always has instrumentation. So to have no instrumentation would not be correct. It was the shortest ever written.
I could write a shorter opera if I want. It's done. It's my operatic rendition of 433. You know?
That's what I was going to say.
No instrumentation either, you know.
It's even shorter this time.
We'll expect that next time Dr. Sepulveda joins us on the show.
Oh.
But we thank you a lot, Dr. Sepulveda, for joining us not only tonight, but just supporting us, enjoying the show, having fun, and just doing what you're doing. Not only teaching us tonight, but in the past. And if anything, just to recap, it's important that if you're singing and your body tells you otherwise, it's important to stop, because it could be the end if you're not careful.
And don't sing sick. Just don't sing.
Right, your body's telling you.
Just don't sing, Dr. Ricardo Sepulveda.
Oh, sing.
Just don't sing.
Do not sing while sick.
Do not
important
sing.
to differentiate. Sing, but just don't do it when you're sick. Also, don't always say what's in your head, because sometimes it might get you in trouble. So self-discipline is important, and I think if anything taught you at Millikan, it would be that. And finally, if you don't have any debt, don't put yourself in debt, because without it, it's kind of pretty nice. So unfortunately, you're probably still in the process of that. But we wish you the best. And again, thank you for just joining us, being a part of the Kmac Attack, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for playing. And hopefully we'll see you around. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, he gets to hear out. Oh no, he doesn't get to hear outro.
he can tune back in. But Dr. Ricardo Sepulveda joining us tonight. Awesome interview. Got to know a lot about what he's been up to and what he will be up to in the future. And it's really good just to catch up with him after all this time, because I don't think I've seen him since we graduated, which is funny because he started when we were there, and then a little before. But then when we graduated, he graduated sort of. So we appreciate his time. And I don't know. I think that was awesome. So thank you for that. Nick, unfortunately, not the victor.
What
but
did he get? What
he
was
got
his score?
5. So he missed the same ones you did.
And you just missed a few more.
Yeah, you just missed.
Yeah, what did that? Hey, man, you just missed the same that he did. What are you talking about?
and more. But it was good to catch up. Good to test his skills. We did not get to a Cover Lover edition tonight. It is getting awfully late, so we'll pick up on that next time. But thanks for being here, guys. Ben, I want to ask you too about how you're recovering. I know you didn't join us last time. Just give us a quick update. You 100% again?
I'm feeling 100%. Yeah, I was down for the count for about 24 hours or so, but after a couple days of rest, I feel great. I feel invincible. I burned all my masks. I'm headed down to Daytona Beach for spring break this week. No, just kidding. No, still being safe, but feeling a little more confident. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's just a relief to, be someone with both vaccines ready to conquer the world, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap it up. We even went past our outro, so
So we'll do it again.
But we'll do it again just so you know for sure that this is the end. But thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you again on Sunday night rather, at 9/8 Central here on the Kmac Attack. Follow us on Facebook. Watch us on YouTube. Comment what you like. Maybe you hate something. Give us something to talk about. And we'll see you again.